Twisters is the follow-up to the 1996 action and disaster masterpiece Twister, starring Glen Powell as Helen Hunt and Daisy Edgar-Jones as Bill Paxton. That's not even the most exciting thing we've got for you today. Not even my haircut is the most exciting thing we've got for you today. The most exciting thing we've got for you today is new theme music, courtesy of Dale Jason Armstrong. Take a listen. That theme music is so awesome. Thank you so much. I am so glad that we have that. Now, welcome back to Movie Health Community, the internet's #1 source of health warnings at the movies. We are talking about Twisters today. Is it safe for photosensitive audiences? We'll get to a review in a moment, but we'll answer that question now. The answer is... God, no. Twisters is not safe for photosensitive audiences. That one kind of breaks my heart, but it also isn't surprising. The one main offender in this movie is lightning. There is lightning during the second and third production company logos after the Universal logo, which are for Warner Brothers and Amblin. There is lightning during almost every scene of a storm, including the opening scene. Severe lightning using harsh strobe effects. And one that starts during a rodeo scene. There are brief moments where there are flickers of the lights on a subway train. There are both lightning strobes and editing related strobes during the stylized end credits before the mid-credit scene. And there are emergency vehicle strobe lights in this movie. Now, the scenes in between the storm scenes, for the most part, are pretty safe. So for flashing lights, we are giving Twisters a 9 out of 10. Heavy caution, especially around the scenes you're really there to see. In terms of motion, I will tell you that the camera is always handheld or mounted to a moving vehicle driving over rough terrain. There are very few exceptions. I would be surprised if there was a full minute worth of exceptions in this movie that's just over 2 hours. In terms of mental health, there's only one thing beyond the original Twister that I would say. Obviously, there's the really bad weather, people losing loved ones to this really bad weather. There is a part early in the movie where somebody makes the remark, "I'm gonna yak," but then about 20 to 30 minutes later, somebody actually does. I think it's the same person, but I'm not sure. But I do remember that line, and I do remember somebody actually throwing up on camera. That latter thing, there are several seconds of body language warning that someone's about to walk away from where they are to do that. That should about do it. Now, before I get to my review, I gotta tell you, that intro I did, I got so much wrong about the characters and who they were playing. But if I were to tell you what kind of roles everybody was actually playing, it would probably be a little bit of a spoiler. There is an equivalent in the original Twister to who Glen Powell plays, but it's not Helen Hunt or Bill Paxton. And that's really a sign of something that this movie does really well, is it is very much its own thing. Watching this movie will not add to your experience of watching the original Twister, and watching the original Twister will not add to your experience watching this one. These are two very separate and self-contained movies taking place in the same state against the same weather phenomenon and just kind of doing the same formula with likable characters chasing this down. And the acknowledgement that that totally works and there's not really anything you need to change about that when you're making a movie like this is this movie's greatest strength. It's not trying to be anything more than a modern follow-up to Twister. That being said, the pressure is so high on a modern follow-up to Twister because the original Twister did some amazing stuff. It put cameras for the first time in weather events that have historically been way too dangerous to film, and so very few people had ever witnessed what that's actually like. I can tell you from firsthand experience that the original Twister does the greening of the sky and the air so well. I've experienced that very few times in my life, but Twister got that experience absolutely right. It's not the greening of the screen. If I wanted to green the screen, I would just take off the chroma effect like this. Now, this is going to be a really fun movie to watch 5 to 10 years from now and realize how far all of these stars have risen. These are all new stars. These are all very up and coming young people in this movie. Now, this movie isn't quite as fun as the original Twister, but that's not for lack of trying, and that's not to say that this movie is not fun. This movie is quite fun. Honestly, whatever you want to go for while watching either one of these two movies, you're going to get excellent diversion and an excellent demonstration of our visual effects abilities now. Making this movie now, you have to create whole new hurdles based on the technological advancements between 1996 and now. The ability to put a camera somewhere as dangerous as the middle of a tornado is a much more realistic prospect in the world we live in now than it was 30 years ago. The ways that this movie deals with that advancement of technology make it feel almost easy to become as timeless as the original. I don't think this is going to be as iconic as the original. Nothing happens in this movie that is nearly as iconic as the cow flying by. But because this movie accomplished its mission better than almost any other movie this year, I have to give Twisters an A. I also saw this with my grandma. She and I both watched the original Twister for the first time in several years recently. She said she does like this one more than the original. She found the main cast to be more likable than the main cast of the original. And she just found the adventure of this movie more enjoyable than the first one. So thank you, Grandma, for coming with me to this movie. That was great. Thank you so much to our readers on Tumblr and Facebook. And as always, an extra special thanks to our patrons over on our Patreon page, whose names are scrolling on the screen like credits right now. As a reminder, nothing produced by Movie Health Community is medical advice, nor has any of it been reviewed by any medical professionals. Be sure to leave a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when we post new videos, and leave a comment down below if you have anything to add to this discourse, especially if you disagree with anything I've said. We love hearing from you. And as always, stay safe at the movies.